So, how do you know if your business strategy is actually working? I mean, really working. It's a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it's usually not on the latest sales report. To get to the truth, you have to dig a little deeper. You have to audit its very foundation. And in this explainer, we're going to give you the tools to do just that.
It's so easy to fall into this trap. You see high profits and you think, hey, we must have a great strategy. But what if that's not the whole story? What if those amazing profits are actually hiding a much bigger problem, a fatal flaw that's just waiting to surface?
Yeah, it's way more complicated. See, looking at profit is kind of like driving while only looking in the rearview mirror. It tells you where you've been, not where you're going. And here's the scary part. By the time you see those profits start to dip, it can be way too late. The competition's already passed you by, and that strategy you thought was so solid, well, now it's a real liability. Okay, so how do we look beyond just the bottom line? Well, we need a better toolkit. And instead of trying to prove a strategy is perfect, which, let's be honest, is impossible, we're going to test it for critical flaws. To do that, we use a really powerful framework from the strategist Richard Rumelt. So, Rumelt gives us 4 key tests that every good strategy has to pass. We've got consistency, consonance, advantage, and feasibility. You can think of these as a diagnostic checkup for your whole business plan. All right, let's dive into test number 1. Is it consistent? This is all about looking inside your organization. Are your goals and your policies actually working together? Or are they pulling the company in opposite directions? Because, a strategy that's at war with itself is pretty much guaranteed to fail. This is a classic example of that internal conflict. Just imagine a tech company, okay? Your sales team, they're getting bonuses for selling these super expensive, custom-engineered solutions. But at the same time, your manufacturing department is being told to standardize everything to cut costs. What do you think happens? You get constant battles between departments, missed deadlines. The whole strategy is basically sabotaging itself. Okay, on to test number 2, which is all about fit. The fancy word is consonance. But really, it's just asking, does your strategy fit with the outside world? Does it make sense with what's happening in the market, with new tech, with how society is changing? Or are you playing a game where the rules have already changed? Here's a perfect real-world example. For decades, right, making mechanical timers was a great business. But then, along came the microprocessor, and it changed everything. The companies that just kept doing what they'd always done, clinging to that old strategy, they got left in the dust. Their whole business model became obsolete because they lost that fit with a world that was changing fast. All right, test 3 is a big one. Is there an advantage? I mean, does your strategy create a real, sustainable competitive advantage? It's not enough to just be playing in a hot market. Your strategy has to clearly explain how you're going to get and keep an edge over everyone else. And this advantage usually comes from one of 3 places. First, you could have superior resources. Think of a paper company that owns huge forests. Second, you might have superior skills, like you've got the absolute best designers in the world on your team. Or third, you could have a superior position, a spot in the market that's just really, really hard for anyone else to take from you. And this quote really gets to the heart of that positional advantage. A good position is defensible. Think about a brand like Coca-Cola or Amazon's incredible delivery network. Trying to copy that would be so ridiculously expensive and difficult that most competitors don't even try. That's a powerful, sustainable advantage. And that brings us to our final test. Is it feasible? This is the ultimate reality check. You might have the most brilliant strategy on paper, but can you actually pull it off? Do you really have what it takes to make it happen? So to figure that out, you really have to look at 3 key things. 1, do you have the money, the financial capital? 2, do you have the right people with the right skills? That's your human capital. And 3, and this one gets overlooked all the time, can your organization actually coordinate everything and work together effectively? If the answer to any of those is no, then even the cleverest strategy just isn't feasible.
All right, let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here?
It's actually pretty simple. A really strong strategy has to pass all 4 of these tests. It's got to be internally consistent. It has to fit the outside world. That's consonance. It has to create a real advantage. And it has to be feasible. It's not about just having one brilliant idea. It's about having a complete, solid plan that checks all those boxes. And that really brings us to the most important point of all. The world never stops changing, right? A strategy that's perfect today could be totally useless tomorrow. So the real challenge isn't just auditing your strategy once.
It's about turning this whole process, this critical evaluation, into something you do all the time. So the question to leave you with isn't just, is our strategy working now? It's, how do we make sure our strategy keeps working? That's the question that every successful organization has to ask itself, over and over again.